Alabama folk singer is dead after she was attacked by a pair of coyotes.
What is the monkey doing? Tell me what the monkey...
He hit your face off!
We actually have a trainer in the water with one of our whales.
If I show weakness, if I retreat, I may be hurt, I may be killed.
Baby Azaria Chamberlain was taken by a dingo back in 1980.
Can't read my, no, we can't read my cougar face. Ugh. Bad. 90 episodes in, 90th episode, and that's how you choose to do it? Come on, Chapman. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. Oh, fuck. You, everybody, welcome back to Man Eaters, the only true crime podcast on the internet, where all the killers are real animals. Whether it's biting, scratchings, maulings, or clawings, we're here to talk about it. I don't know, I feel like the cougar thing with a Lady Gaga song makes sense. What's another Lady Gaga songs? I know Poker Face. What's one of the others? Fuck, I actually can't remember any off the top of my head. Isn't that sad? I feel like Gaga fell off with her music. She's focusing on Lady Gaga songs. She's focusing on her wow. Lady Gaga podcast was the first thing that came up. I wonder if I could get her on here. Lady Gaga songs. Yeah, Poker Face. She's focusing on the acting. Bad Romance. Oh, yeah. Whoa. Caught in a bad cougar. Judas. Cougars. Dumb. I think I'm getting worse. Holy shit. 90 episodes and I'm still a fucking moron. Welcome back, everybody. Did I do the intro? I can't even remember. What is this? What is the show? Well, we talk about animals and stuff, but I also just flounder comedically for a few minutes before we get into it. It's a weird tone this podcast have. I will be honest. There are other animal podcasts out there, and they strike a similar tone of trying to be funny and not being funny at all. But at least with me, I'm Australian and I have an accent, so why am I not more successful? Guys, welcome to episode 90. Can't believe it. Oh, I should introduce my hosts. Sorry. Please, I'm James Chapman. Hello, I'm hosting the show. With me, as always, is Empty Chair. Empty Chair, what do you have to say for yourself about the protest you were arrested at on the weekend? Well, I'm proud of you, buddy. Empty Chair, you have a bunch of morals, you have convictions, and at least you stand by them. Not like African Drum Circle, who left the podcast to go do amateur porn. Today, we're talking cougars. As I'm sure you guessed from the brilliant intro to the show that I gave you, we are talking, actually, we've got a list of fatal cougar attacks in the United States. We're going to talk about them. Now, the reason we're bringing this up is because there was actually the first cougar attack of the 2020s a few weeks ago. I wanted to look at the list and see what had happened. So they're not the most prolific killers in the entire world, particularly not the US. But they are dangerous. So let's learn a little bit about it. Oh, but first, should we do a little intro? Okay, let me just tell you a little bit about cougars. In contemporary slang, particularly in North America, the term cougar refers to an older woman who is typically attracted to and seeks relationship with younger men. What? Here are some points related to this usage. The term gained popularity in the 2000s and is thought to have originated from the idea of these women being predatory, like the cougar animal. How come we never refer to men who, for lack of a better term, prey on young women as some kind of animal? If women get to be cougars, what can we call men? Cougar is a good word for it. Maybe we can call them sloth bears. Let's do that. Bear's taken by chubby homosexuals. Cougar is taken by older women seeking younger men. But older men seeking younger women, what can we call them? Let's call them jaguars. That's too cool. I don't want to encourage it. I want to dis-encourage it because it's yucky. What's a gross man-eating animal? Let's just call them walruses. It's not true. They don't walruses don't eat people. They're not predatory, but I don't know. It's less cool. All right. So if you see like a 20-year-old woman and with a 40-year-old boyfriend, you can just be like, oh, cool. A walrus. I didn't know you liked walruses, Gemma. Anyway, what are we talking about? No, that's not the type of cougar we're talking about. We're talking about the big cat. So let's all sit down. Whatever you're doing, sit down. I don't care if you're cleaning the house. Sit down. And if you're sleeping in bed, you got to sit up too. I do have a few people say that they listen to the podcast to fall asleep. Very good. But sit up. Okay, sit up. Pay attention. All right. We're talking cougars. So let's just get into it. Welcome to Cougar Town, baby. So, cougars, also known as mountain lions, pumas, or panthers, are majestic predators native to the Americas. Renowned for their elusive nature and impressive hunting skills, these solitary cats are characterized by their sleek, muscular bodies and tawny grayish-brown fur, often with lighter underparts. Their long, powerful tails marked with distinctive black tips aid in balance and communication. Inhabiting a diverse range of ecosystems from dense forests to rugged mountains, cougars boast the largest geographical distribution of any wild terrestrial mammal in the Western Hemisphere. These territories can span vast areas, with males claiming larger ranges than females. Despite their solitary nature, cougars may overlap territories, leading to occasional confrontations, particularly during mating season. Cougars are primarily crepuscular and nocturnal. I love that word, crepuscular, and nocturnal hunters, using their keen senses of sight, hearing, and smell to stealthily stalk their prey. While their main diet consists of deer, they are opportunistic predators, preying on a variety of animals such as rabbits, rodents, and occasionally livestock when available. Known for their agility and strength, cougars employ a powerful pounce to ambush their prey, often delivering a lethal bite to the back of the neck, similar to other big cats. Mating typically occurs throughout the year, with peak activity observed in the wintertime. After a gestation period of around 90 days, females give birth to a litter of 1 to 6 kittens in a secluded den. The mother provides sole care for her offspring, nurturing them until they are old enough to venture out on their own. Young cougars may stay with their mother for up to 2 years, learning essential hunting and survival skills before establishing their territories. While not currently listed as endangered, cougars do face various threats, including habitat loss, fragmentation, and human-wildlife conflicts. Conservation efforts aim to protect cougar populations and mitigate those challenges, ensuring the continued existence of these iconic predators in the wild. Cougars play a crucial role in maintaining the balance of many ecosystems, regulating prey populations, and contributing to biodiversity across their vast range. And I will say, mountain lions / cougars, I think they might be one of my favorite of the Native American animals. There's just something about a cougar that I find very cool. Except for when I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I've talked about this on the pod before, but I fucking hate you're riding along through a swamp and then a cougar comes up and it eats your horse. I had a horse. Sorry, sidebar. I had a horse in Red Dead for like 3 years. I played with this horse. Never died. I take good care of my horse. I have a horse reviver and horse tonics. And one day I didn't have one, and a fucking cougar came along and ate my horse. After 3 years, his name was Titan. The horse, not the cougar. The cougar's name was Pickled Dick Herring, which is what I named him after I shot him in the face. Anyway, that's how I feel about that cougar, the digital cougar. Real cougars I like a lot. Yeah. Also, they classic. Am I right, ladies? The mother is the sole carer of the kids. Am I right? Deadbeat dad, anyone? No, but deadbeat dads are a problem, and I apologize. That's bad. Sorry, just adjusting my microphone for all this comedy goodness. So we do have with us today, we have a list of cougar attacks in the United States. We are going to go through them now. As stated in my intro, we did have a fatal cougar attack quite recently, within the last 2 weeks. It was the first one in at least the last 4 years. It was the first one of the 2020s. We're going to talk about all of them. Like our other lists, we're going to go through it in chronological order. And yeah, going back to the modern day. So the most recent one will be the one that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Cougars, they're also known as pumas, mountain cats, catamount, or panthers. There's a subpopulation in Florida called a Florida panther. I thought, when I was a kid, I feel like I read in the Guinness Book of Records that the cougar had the most number of, like, other names. Because an elephant's just an elephant, right? And a rhinoceros is a rhino or a rhinoceros. But, like, a cougar is commonly known as mountain lions, pumas, mountain cats, catamount, or panthers, or Florida panther. That's a lot of, like, official names for one species. So let's read a little bit about their proliferation in the United States and North America. There have been a total of 126 attacks on people, only 27 of which were fatal. So out of 126, 27 were fatal. That have been documented in the last 100 years. So potentially more attacks and more deaths before then. Fatal cougar attacks are extremely rare and occur much less frequently than snake bites, fatal lightning strikes, or fatal bee stings. Children are particularly vulnerable. The majority of children victims listed here were not accompanied by adults. As with many predators, cougars may attack if cornered, if fleeing a human stimulates their instinct to chase, or if a person plays dead. Standing still, however, may cause the cougar to consider a person easy prey. Exaggerating the threat to the animal through intense eye contact, loud shouting, and any other action to appear larger and more menacing may make the animal retreat. Humans are capable of fending off cougars, as adult humans are generally larger than adult cougars. It is even possible for humans to win a fight against a cougar, such as the case of Travis Kaufman, who choked a juvenile cougar to death when he was attacked while jogging. Well, you best believe we're going to read about that in a little bit. That's insane. Fighting back with sticks or rocks or even bare hands is often effective in persuading an attacking cougar to disengage. In 2024, 4 women engaged in hand-to-hand combat for 45 minutes with a cougar that had attacked and bitten their friend through the face. During the engagement, the women pinned the cougar down with one of their bikes, and at one point, the cougar even lifted the bike with a woman standing on it. A wildlife officer who was summoned to the scene ultimately dispatched the cougar by gunshot. Well, guess I found another fucking story we're going to talk about. That's wild. Okay, what we might do is we might go through the list, and then maybe as our scratch of the day, since they were both recent in the 2020s, we will read both of those stories as the scratch of the day. Perfect. A full cougar. This really is the Cougar Town, folks. Okay, let's start our list. So, in the last 100 years, like it said, 126 attacks, 27 of which were fatal, which means 99 were non-fatal. So, percentage-wise, I guess it means you've got like an 80% chance of survival. I think that's kind of what it would say. Let's have a look. So we're starting before the 1970s. So this list is a little bit incomplete, and everything before the 1970s is included in one batch. So the first person on our list, it's an unnamed child who was 3 years old, and this attack occurred on August 21st, 1868. Quote unquote, killed by a cougar, the Oregon Herald of August 24th contains the following. On the 21st instant, a little child, 3 years old, of Mr. Patton, living on Rear Creek, 3 miles west of Long Tom in Lane County, was killed by a cougar. The child was playing in the yard and within 10 feet of the door of the dwelling when the cougar sprang upon him from the bushes which grew near the house. The mother, seeing the beast drag her child towards the timber, seized a stick and started in pursuit. She attacked the cougar with such resolution that it dropped its burden, and the heroic woman, taking the lifeless body under one arm and her only remaining child under the other, made her way to a neighbor's house 1.5 miles distant. Mr. Patton was absent from the home at the time. That's from the Lane County, Oregon. That's in Lane County, Oregon. Damn. Incredibly sad start to the list. That mother is a badass motherfucker, though. Yeah. Poor boy. The next person, again, a lot of these are going to be children, was Arthur Dangle. Unfortunate last name. Arthur was 7 years old when he died on June 19th, 1890. He was killed and eaten by two cougars while playing near his home in Quartz Valley in, how do I say this? Siskiyou County in California. Frank Cook, whose age was unknown, died on November 11th, 1901. He was attacked by a cougar east of the Santa Clarita Landing in Baja, California. Another person whose name was whose age was unknown was A.C. Markleen. Died on March 1st, 1904. Killed by a cougar in Bushy Cane Creek in McGoffin County, Kentucky, AC. Markleen and a friend named McCarthy, both from New York State, were attacked. AC Markleen received fatal injuries while McCarthy was attacked but survived. So that might be our first official adult who died. So this next person is a child. 2 or 4. This one says it's probably a false report. Let's read the story first. This says that a child whose last name was Brown was killed by a cougar near Balboa in California. The boy was attacked while in a tent. News stories variously reported his age as 2 or 14. That's quite a big difference. It was reported in the local paper the following day that the story was a hoax. The paper confirmed the local coroner never received a report of a child suffering a violent death in this manner. Then why is it included on the list? That's my question for you. Okay, so that one's probably not true. There probably is a case of misreporting, but let's keep moving on. Isola Kennedy, who was 38 years old, and Earl Winston, who was 10 years old, are our next victims, and they were killed in an attack that occurred on July 5th, 1909. A rabid cougar attacked a woman and her child in Morgan Hill, Santa Clara County in California. Both victims died from rabies, not from the physical injuries. This is the only instance of a double fatality, and the only instance where the victims succumbed to disease rather than the injuries sustained in the attack. So that's a very unique attack. There you go. 3-year-old was the next victim on August 21st, 1911, who was killed by a pet cougar. I really didn't think we were going to have to deal with this. Back when we did the snake story, it was always like a pet snake biting someone. I really didn't think we'd have to deal with pet cougars. Killed by a pet cougar inside his family home near Beaumont, Texas. Oh, that makes sense. All right. Jimmy Fehlhaber, 13 years old, I think that's like a German name, Fehlhaber, was attacked and killed in Olema, Washington, as he tried to outrun a cougar for about 100 yards, which is 91 meters. He died on December 17th, 1924. The next occurrence was over 20 years later in June of 1949. Dominic Taylor, 7 years old, was killed and eaten while walking on a beach in British Columbia. There are 2 more deaths that occurred before the 1970s. A woman of unknown age was killed in Tampico, Mexico in 1951. And Eleanor Salazar was 5 years old. She was attacked, dragged off, and eaten in the same town in Mexico in June of 1953. All right. We're into the 70s now. So now that we're in our decades, we can start picturing what was going on in the 70s. I wasn't there. I wasn't even a sperm yet. I was maybe a little egg. I don't really know how long the eggs are in. I probably wasn't anything. I was in the ether. Let's just say that. In the 70s, what were you guys doing? Wearing bell-bottom jeans and... Actually, I was about to talk shit on your fashion. I kind of really like the men's fashion back then. I hope it makes a resurgence. Anyway, also in the 70s, with 3 deaths of people from cougar attacks, Lawrence Wells, who was 12 years old, died in January of 1971. He was attacked and killed in British Columbia by a male cougar while Wells was playing with his sisters. The sisters survived. Kenneth Clark Nolan, who was 9 years old, died in January of 1974, on the 20th of January, killed by a 3-year-old female cougar in New Mexico. First New Mexico death. And Matilda May Samuel died on July 1976, killed by a cougar near Gold River, British Columbia, while walking on a road. Sad. All right. I'm getting a little bit of a cold. I don't know if you can hear that. Apologies for the sniffles. In the 1980s, we had 2 deaths. Jesse Sky Bergman, who was 9 years old, and Jake Thomas Gardapi, who was 5 years old. The first one who died was Jesse Sky Bergman in 1988, on May the 16th. Jesse Sky Bergman was stalked and killed by a 4-year-old male cougar at Catface Mountain in British Columbia. Jake was killed after he was attacked by a cougar while playing behind his home in Missoula County, Montana. The cougar was later killed, and a necropsy was performed at the Montana State University Veterinary Lab, establishing the cougar's role in the child's death. He died on September 9th, 1989. Into the 90s now, and as always, once we get closer to the present day, the list sort of opens up. People report this stuff more. But it does seem like the 1980s were the worst, the 1990s were the worst decade for cougar attacks. We have about 8 or 9 here. Scott Lancaster, who was 18 years old, died on January 14th, 1991. He was killed and eaten while jogging at a familiar route on a hill above Clear Creek High School in Idaho Springs, Colorado. Jeremy Williams, 7 years old, died on the 5th of May, 1992, was attacked and killed in British Columbia by a young female cougar whilst playing in the schoolyard. Oh, that one's sad. She was at school. Jesus. The next one's an adult woman, Barbara Barcelo Shona, died on April 23rd, 1994. This is the first one that's occurred since I've been alive. Long-distance runner and Placerville resident was attacked and killed while jogging on the American River Canyon Trail in California's Auburn State Recreational Area. Iris M. Kenner, 56 years old, was killed while hiking alone. The page scrolled up. Was killed while hiking alone in California in Coymanca Rancho State Park. She died on December 10th, 1994. Cindy Parolin, 36 years old, died in August of 1996. She was a mother who was killed while defending her 6-year-old son on a horseback riding trip in British Columbia. That one's sad. Mark Medema, 10 years old, died in 1997 on the 17th of July, killed by an adult female cougar in Colorado's Rocky Mountain National Park while hiking when he got ahead of his family. And the last one, this one has a note that says this is a highly contentious case, and experts vary in opinion as to whether or not this was an official cougar attack. Jared Atadero, 3 years old, went missing during a religious hiking trip in the Alfaro and Roosevelt National Forest in Colorado. Partial remains were discovered in 2003. The death date is recorded as October 2nd, 1999. This is the first person on our list that has a link to their own Wikipedia page. So let's have a look at that. Jared, how do I say his name? This death of Jared Atadero. Let's read this whole thing. All right. Jared Atadero was a 3-year-old American Jared Atadero was a 3-year-old American boy who went missing on October 2nd, 1999, while hiking with a Christian social group on Big South Trail, a part of the Arapahoe and Roosevelt National Forest in Colorado. His partial remains were found by 2 businessmen on a hiking trip on May 6, 2003. Atadero's disappearance and killing remain a cold case, an anomaly noted for the fact that the boy's cause of death was never officially classified. While often reported as a mountain lion attack, experts on felids have argued that the discovered remains do not meet typical patterns of a mountain lion attack. Other experts believe that Atadero had been a victim of abduction and murder, owing in part to sensationalism surrounding the Colorado case of child glitz pageant contest JonBenet Ramsey. The media was heavily involved in the search for Atadero. Okay, on October 1999, Alan is the father. Okay. On October 1999, Alan was staying with his 2 children in the Poudre River Resort, a commercial hotel owned by Alan and his twin brother, Arlen Atadero. Jared and Jocelyn, I hate their names. I'm sorry, I've got to say it. Alan and Arlen, and then the siblings are Jared and Jocelyn, both with Ys. Jared and Jocelyn were anxious to go on an excursion to the nearby state fish hatchery with members of the Christian Singles Network group. Jesus Christ. Something that Arlen had initially been reluctant about, but when the group said they would only be going to the hatchery, he consented, trusting the group to keep their word. At some point during the hatchery trip, the 11 members of the group, plus Jocelyn and Jared, decided to take an early afternoon hike up the Big South Trail, 15 miles west of the resort. It is unclear why this decision was made, although Allen noted that the beautiful weather may have been a factor, stating that it was one of those gorgeous fall bluebird days in the mountains of Colorado. Reports vary wildly on the exact events that occurred on the trail leading to Jared's disappearance. It is generally declared that the group split into faster and slower paced groups on the trail, and that Jared ran ahead of the group he was with. The boy reportedly stopped to chat with two fishermen who told investigators that they didn't think much about Jared being alone, since they had seen the Christian Singles Network group about 50 to 80 feet down the trail, unaware that Jared was not related to any of them. The last the fishermen saw of Jared, he was walking rapidly up the trail near the adjacent campsites. The members of the Christian Singles Network group, as well as Jocelyn, heard a loud scream not long after this. According to Jocelyn, the scream had little context, as it sounded like somebody getting attacked or somebody playing with somebody. A playful scream, like someone was going to jag. So it was like, someone was going to tag Jared. The group members searched for Jared for roughly an hour, then returned to the resort to inform Alan of the disappearance. Alan broke down mentally, getting into his vehicle while beating his own chest and screaming repeatedly, "They lost my baby, they lost my baby." The resort manager called the Larimer County Sheriff's Office, and a search and rescue team was deployed, some of whom comforted Jocelyn and allowed her to pet one of the search dogs, named Apache. Oh, Apache, that's a great dog name. Bill Nelson, now a recently retired undersheriff with the Larimer County Sheriff's Office, was in charge of the search for Jared. "Absolutely, I thought we'd find him," he said. "Yes, it was a young child, but my thought was that we should be able to get in there with our people and do what we do and what we have done hundreds of times, find the person. It might take a few hours to find the child crying or hiding someplace nearby, but we thought we'd be done by midnight." Nelson went to his vehicle for a quick nap just before midnight and told his staff to wake him up when they found the boy. When he awoke the next morning in the front seat of his pickup truck, he became concerned, realizing that Jared had still not been located. It sounds like that guy wasn't taking it very seriously. He was just taking a nap. Okay, sorry. I got a cord wrapped around my leg. Initial search. An extensive search for Jared Atadero took place, but the search itself was hindered by multiple difficulties, including building media frenzy. Furthermore, the helicopter used in the search for Jared crashed. Oh my god. Severely injuring the team on board and destroying the helicopter itself. This is an insane story. The Huey UH-1N helicopter from F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Cheyenne, Wyoming, had been the chosen copter for the search. It flew to the Fort Collins Loveland Municipal Airport to refuel. When the helicopter returned, it struggled with the fuel load and mountain conditions and stalled out, falling 100 feet and crashing up the Big South Trail. Aboard were 4 members of the Air Force and Mark Sheets, a Loveland resident and Larimer County Search and Rescue member. Sheets wasn't supposed to be on the flight, but had relieved his manager, George Jansen, from his shift. Jansen suggested Sheets fly with the crew to help the team make ground search plans. According to Sheets, "I said on the intercom that we needed altitude now, and remember the co-pilot saying, 'I know, but we can't. We are going in.' To me, that was code for brace for impact. Sheets was the only crew member not in a seat. He was on the floor with the door open. He saw the rotors hit the tops of trees and pieces of the helicopter spray into the forest. He tried to shut the door, but a severed tree limb came through and struck the Air Force doctor on board, fracturing the doctor's eye socket. Holy shit. Sheets said the helicopter continued to disintegrate, with the fuselage splitting into 3 pieces as it crashed across the trail. The jet engine, still operational, continued to run for several hours until the fuel ran out. The Air Force crew was able to get out of the helicopter, but Sheets was trapped. Nearby search and rescue members ran towards the downed helicopter, kicking in a window, and managed to pull the then unconscious Sheets out. Sheets suffered a severe concussion and a 13-inch gash on one leg that left his femur bone exposed. He also suffered 3 broken vertebrae in his lower back and a broken shoulder. Sheets was emotionally distraught, recalling in a 2017 interview that he had wanted to do something useful and help Jared. Sheets retired in 2017. That was a weird detour that this story took. Larimer County Sheriff Justin Smith was a sergeant with the department during the search and recalled the intensity of media sensationalism surrounding Jared's disappearance. TV trucks and newspaper reporters compared the case to the death of local Glitz pageant winner John Benet Ramsey, another Colorado-based child cold case. I remember from moment one that the second day we realized that we were going up against that, Smith said. Quote, "We had searchers down who they were bringing out on stretchers. We had a missing kid overnight. We had the Air Force closing off the crash site. Emotionally, it was overwhelming, and you could see it in the eyes of everybody involved. TV satellite trucks, 17 at one time, lined up along Colorado Highway 14 with anchors in fur coats walking around and anybody and everybody calling us for information. Psychics professed to know where the searchers could find Jared. A barefooted man with a donkey showed up at the search site ready to track Jared down. An American Indian, I'm going to say Native American just because that's more politically correct, a Native American came to perform a ritual, asking the mountain to give up the boy. Searchers combed the riverbanks and up steep slopes. Dive teams peered into small ponds left in the narrow, slow-moving river. A plane made passes overhead but was unable to locate Jared. It became a tornado, a hurricane, the biggest storm in all our lives, Alan Atadero stated. I was critical of them at the time because when you are in a survival situation, you want everything that can be done to be done, and at times I thought there was so much more that could have been done. With no sign of the boy appearing, the search gradually ended and the case went cold." So that was 1999. The discovery of human remains happened in 2003. In 2003, businessmen Rob Osborne and Gareth Watts were hiking together in the Poudre Canyon area near the Big South Trail and came across partial human remains, including a brown polar fleece sweater, a pair of blue trousers, and the Disney's Tarzan sneakers that Jared had been wearing when he disappeared. Authorities were notified, and further searching revealed a human molar and a large piece of fractured human skull. DNA testing at the time revealed that the remains were 86% likely to be Jared's. More modern DNA testing revealed that the remains were 100% Jared's. Rather than bury or cremate the remains, Alan Atadero decided to keep them, creating a shrine to Jared out of his old bedroom, kept exactly as it was before he disappeared, with the skull piece kept atop Jared's favorite toys and belongings. According to Alan, "I'm at peace and I know I'm going to see Jared again one of those days. I'm going to look at him and say, 'Jared, what happened?' He's going to look at me and say, 'Dad, does it really matter?'" In Alan's published book Missing, the Jared Atadero story, a father turns a tragedy into hope after the 19... This is such a long title, my god, dude. Get an editor. The book is called Missing, the Jared Atadero story, a father turns tragedy into hope after the 1999 disappearance of his son in the Colorado mountains. That's the longest book title ever. My god, dude. In that aforementioned book, I'm not going to read it again, he discussed his motivations for keeping Jared's skull piece, as well as his religious beliefs aiding him in his decisions surrounding how to best handle the remains and the burial of his boy. There are 2 main theories surrounding the death of Jared Atadero. The mountain lion theory. Although the general consensus of the case is that Jared Atadero was killed and eaten by a large animal, presumably a mountain lion, the contention around this theory is strong. According to Allen, experts on big cats in Colorado had told him that a mountain lion would have attacked the boy's stomach first, aiming for the internal organs. Yet Jared's sweater showed no signs of such attack. Moreover, the boy's trousers were turned inside out, something that a mountain lion would not have been able to do, and the Tarzan sneakers showed only minimal wear, with no sign whatsoever of being dragged, indicating that a mountain lion could not have dragged the boy all the way up the trail that far into the mountains without destroying the sneakers. That being said, mountain lion tracks had been discovered next to Jared's tracks in the initial search. According to Alan Atadero, the quote-unquote search item found some the search team found some cougar prints coming down towards the tracks, and where the cougar prints and a little person's prints come together, the child's prints disappear. At the time that Alan had stated this, another initial theory had existed that Jared may have slipped and fallen, either getting caught in the rocky terrain and dying from exposure or dying from the fall. This theory has been largely ruled out, although not completely considered implausible by authorities. One other existing theory is that Jared was abducted and murdered by someone who had captured him, and then disposing of the boy's clothing. This was backed up by the note that a human being could have turned the trousers inside out. The only damage to the trousers had come from rodents and birds yanking away large pieces of the fabric to weave into their nearby nests. Although family and friends were questioned, there was no indication otherwise that anybody, at least anybody immediately known to the Atadero family, had taken Jared. Now, there is a weird thing that happened later on. Alan Atadero was harassed by a man claiming to be Jared himself, and Alan took out a restraining order on this individual. When the restraining order was violated, the man was arrested. The discovery of Jared's remains and the DNA match invalidated the man's claims, and it is believed by authorities that the man was mentally ill or trying to seek attention of some sort. As of 2022, the case remains officially unsolved. Yeah, there you go. Wow, there you go. Okay, that was a nice little side quest that we did there. Back to the list. How about back to the list? We still have the 2000s and the 2010s and the 2020s, but there's only a few in each. So, in 2001, on January 2nd, Francis Frost, a 30-year-old man, was killed. This Canmore, Alberta resident was killed by a cougar while skiing on Cascade Fire Road near Lake Minnewaca in Banff National Park, Alberta. Mark Jeffrey Reynolds was the next person to be killed at age 35. He was attacked, killed, and partially devoured while mountain biking at Whiting Ranch Wilderness Park in southern Orange County, California. It is believed that his chain fell off and the cougar attacked him when he bent down to repair his bicycle. His family, Terry, Gary, and Donna, started the Mark J. Reynolds Memorial Children's First Bike Fund, which provides bicycles and helmets to underprivileged children. He died on January 8th, 2004. And finally, Robert Nowajewski, I don't know how to say that, died on June 24th of 2008. Searchers found his partially devoured body on this date near his mobile home in Pinos Altos in New Mexico. Investigators concluded that he had been attacked, killed, and eaten by a cougar several days earlier. We have 3 deaths left. We're into the 2010s. S.J. Brooks, 32 years old, was killed by a cougar near North Bend in Washington while biking in the foothills near North Bend. Another bicyclist was injured, and the cougar was found and killed later that day. This happened on May 19th, 2018. Only a few months later, on September 11th, 2018, never forget, Diana Bobber, 55 years old, was killed by a cougar in Mount Hood National Forest on the Hunchback Mountain Trail. This was the first cougar kill in Oregon's recorded history. And finally, the one that we talked about last week, or the week before last, Taylon Robert Claude Brooks died on March 23rd, 2024 at the age of 21. A cougar jumped and killed a 21-year-old who, in company with his 18-year-old brother, was out looking for shed ungulate antlers in a forested area near Georgetown, El Dorado County, California. The brother was also injured in the attack. Yeah. And there you go, gang. That's it. That's the list of fatal attacks. Like I said, only 27 fatal ones. But that was a wild story about Jared Atadero that we sort of just stumbled upon. We're going to take a quick break, but then we're going to go and talk about those 2 near misses that we talked about in the intro. The man who... What was it? The man who beat off a fucking cougar? What was it? Yes. Travis Kaufman, who choked a juvenile cougar to death while jogging, and in 2024, 4 women engaging in hand-to-hand combat for 45 minutes. We will read both of those stories after the break. Go and do a wee. And we're back. Would you like to look into this Travis Kaufman thing who choked a juvenile cougar to death? Yeah, let's have a look at that. So this links to a Colorado Sun article that says, remember the Fort Collins trail runner who killed an attacking mountain lion? Here's what he's been up to since. All right, well, hopefully this includes a little bit of information on what happened. Okay. 5.5 months after he killed a mountain lion with his bare hands during trail running in Fort Collins, Kaufman says he's back to being an ordinary guy. The injuries the 32-year-old environmental engineer suffered during the February 4th incident have healed without lasting problems. The local and international notoriety has subsided and is happily blended into the background of daily life in Fort Collins. Although he has several physical scars from the incident, including a faint slash across his left cheek where the lion's claw opened a big cut on his face, he doesn't carry any long-lasting anxiety or PTSD. He hasn't had any bad dreams and has largely forgotten about it despite often running on the same trail. Quote, it's one of those things where time has passed and it's become a distant memory for everything has turned back to normal, Kaufman said recently in Fort Collins. But looking back, it's still crazy to think about how the whole thing went viral overnight. Mountain lion sightings have become increasingly common across Colorado's Front Range, especially in the foothills of West Fort Collins, Boulder, and Golden. Mountain lion attacks on humans, however, are rare in Colorado, with Colorado Parks and Wildlife counting fewer than 20 over the past 30 years. However, 2 of those incidents resulted in fatalities. A 10-year-old boy was killed by a mountain lion while hiking near Grand Lake in 1997, and an adult runner was killed in Idaho Springs in 1991. Although the cat scratches from his cheek inches from eye to eye, the worst of the injuries Kaufman suffered was when the cat latched onto his jaw right on his latched its jaw on his right wrist, causing 2 puncture wounds and temporary nerve damage that resulted in temporary loss of feeling in 2 of his fingertips. That affected his grip for a while and made it hard for him to hold the handlebars of his mountain bike, but it finally subsided last month. The only other lingering impact is a small scar on the bridge of his nose that he says occasionally makes his skin tight and a little itchy. That's really about it, he said on July 16th after a short trail run at the Maxwell Nature Area trailhead west of Fort Collins while wearing the same aqua blue Nike shorts with holes from where the cat scratched him. I know I was lucky to survive. He's a handsome guy. I gotta say that. I'm just gonna this is not the kind of article I was hoping for. I kind of wanted to see what he looked like after he got. Okay, here we go. I found some more. So, he had gone for a solo trail run in Laurie State Park at about 1 p.m. On that mild February Monday with the intent of reaching the Towers Trail in the upper reaches of the adjacent Horsetooth Mountain Park. After running to the summit, he took in the views and began running down another trail, where he heard some leaves rustle in the brush along the West Ridge Trail. When he stopped to turn around, he saw a small mountain lion chasing him. He stopped and put his hands up and yelled. The cat jumped at him and grasped his body. The mountain lion's mouth clamped down on his wrist, and its claws dug into his legs, shoulder, and face. It immediately had its claws on me, and I was like, oh shit, this is real, Kaufman says. It immediately clamped onto my wrist. Then it was almost as if it was trying to climb my body. It was a frantic flurry of paws. I felt a claw poke into my legs, and then it was swatting at my face. I felt like a big scratch on my cheek. Then I felt its claws dig into my shoulder as it tried to wrap itself around me. From there, a scuffle ensued that lasted about 10 minutes as Kaufman and the cat fell to the ground and rolled down an incline off the trail. With the cat's jaw still locked onto his wrist, Kaufman tried without much success to hit the cat with both a stick and a rock. Eventually, Kaufman was able to pin the cat's rear legs to the ground and began to suffocate with his left foot on its neck. It wasn't until the cat fell limp that he was able to free his right wrist. The necropsy The necropsy, I can never say that word, reported that the animal was a juvenile cat weighing between 35 and 40 pounds and possibly strayed from its mother. It looked like a small cat and I was never overpowered by it, but my biggest concern from the moment of the incident started was worrying about where the mother cat might be, Kaufman said. Whilst all of that was happening, I could see a good amount of blood dripping into the cat's fur from my face, so I was wondering how bad the cut was. And all the while, my head was on a swivel because I figured the mom would show up and that would be it for me. It was pretty terrifying, but it wasn't like I had to make any decisions. I just reacted and I did what I had to do. There you go. That's a pretty incredible story. He's lucky that the cat wasn't bigger, but like they said, you know, an adult human man is usually bigger than an adult mountain lion, even a female. So, yeah, he did get lucky there. And I'm glad he's doing well, and I'm glad that his life has gone pretty much back to normal. There is another article here. Cyclist tackled off bike and mauled in the face by cougar, saved by heroic friends. So this was about those women who fought a mountain lion for 45 minutes. This is from 2024, so quite recently. A group of competitive female cyclists in Washington state are recalling the harrowing experience of wrestling their friend free from the jaws of a cougar. All these ladies came up with superhuman strength. Kerry Berger, 60, recently told NPR affiliate station of her friends who saved her life. They're teeny ladies, and I know that the Fish and Wildlife shot the final shot to kill it, but these ladies killed that cougar with their bare hands and no weapons. I am eternally grateful to each of them. On February 17th, I'm just going to call it Berger and her friends, Annie Bilotta, 64 years old, Una Tiez, 59 years old, Tish Williams, 59 years old, and Erica Wolf, 51 years old, who are competitive cyclists and have been riding together for the past 5 years, were about 19 miles into a trek northeast of Fall City, where two cougars suddenly approached them near the Tuckle Creek biking trails. One of the cougars ran off, but the other one, that the Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife described in a statement as a 75-pound male, launched at Berger and tackled her off the bike. From the time we saw the cougars to the time it took Kerry off her bike, it was about 3 seconds, Bilotta told NBC. 1 second, I'll say, Berger interjected before Bilotta added, so we didn't have a chance to face off with them to scare them away or anything. Berger and the cougar tumbled into a shallow ditch near the trail, and the cat sunk its teeth into Berger's jaw, pinning her face to the dirt. I thought my teeth were coming loose, and I was going to swallow my teeth, Berger recalled to KUON. I could feel the bones crushing, and I could feel it tearing back. It was like it was suffocating me, she said. I could taste my blood in my mouth. Fortunately, Berger's friends immediately rushed to help, and ended up battling the animal for 45 minutes. Erica and Tish came over with sticks and a rock and were hand-to-hand combat battling this thing, Bilotta told King TV. Bilotta told KUNO that at one point she attempted to choke the cougar. That was like choking a rock, she said. It did absolutely nothing. Berger told King TV that she fought back as well. I knew every second what was going on, and I was doing my own, poking at it, trying to focus, eyeballs out, and get up its nose and his mouth with my hand, he said. The woman said that about 15 minutes into the fight, the cat relented a bit and Berger was able to slip free. I just laid there and continued the battle, Berger told the reporter. As the other women fought the animal, they said they verbally checked in on Berger, who would respond to their concerns with a bloody thumbs up, Williams recalled. Eventually, Williams got the idea to pin the cougar down onto one of their bikes, and the woman successfully executed the plan. Once the cougar was subdued, they called 911, but as they waited for help, the cat kept on fighting back. The women told KUOW that at one point the cougar even lifted the bike with the woman standing on it. An officer from Fish and Wildlife arrived 30 minutes later, and the women told KUOW he instructed the women to continue pinning down the cougar, and he shot it between the shoulder blades. Although Berger, who sustained severe face and neck injuries from the incident, survived, the women described the cougar's death as heartbreaking. After putting down the cat, Fish and Wildlife officers said in their statement that they removed it for examination and later concluded that it had no diseases or abnormalities that might contribute to such a provocation. The other cougar that ran off, which the agency assumed was either the male cougar's mother or sibling, was never found. Fish and Wildlife Lieutenant Eric Olson described Berger's friends in the agency statement as heroic. I gotta be honest, that's a fantastic story. Well done. That is, hey, speaking of cougars, I can't believe that they resisted the urge to say, hey, this group of cougars killed a cougar. I don't know if the ladies were hot, but I think if you can kill a cougar, you are a cougar. I have an erection. No, okay. Sorry. All right, let's stop. Let's stop there. That kind of was our scratch of the day. I didn't do the little scratch of the day thing, but we do have, if I can find it, another scratch. Well, hey, let's do the scratch of the day thing now. Okay, play the clip. Co-host in the chair, empty chair. Play the clip. So we do have one story. It's a sports story. We rarely get to do sports stories on this podcast, but a Australian boxer has been attacked by an animal, and he might be hospitalized. He was hospitalized before a fight. So let's see what happened here. The headline reads, was Tim Suyu, I don't know his name, Suyu, hospitalized before Carlos Ocampo fight. Learn more about the Australian boxer's harrowing animal attack ordeal. WBO World Super Welterweight Champion Tim Tszyu endured a harrowing animal attack that got him hospitalized just weeks ahead of his 2023 fight with Carlos Ocampo. The 29-year-old was rushed to the hospital after his friend's dog attacked and injured his right arm during a barbecue 3 weeks ahead of the WBO interim World Super Welterweight clash. However, the boxer's manager was confident in his pupil's ability to recover in time to make the fight against Ocampo, he said in a statement. There is no doubt that Tim will be ready and 100% healthy and focused to take on Carlos Ocampo on June 18th. Timely surgery enabled the fighter to recover and lace up his gloves to face Ocampo on June 18th. The champion pugilist, however, received 20 to 26 stitches for the bite. In the Gold Coast clash, the Soul Taker, quote-unquote, cruised to victory in the WBO interim title bout, scoring a first-round KO over his opponent. He then followed up his hot streak with a unanimous decision win over Brian Mendoza in October to lay claim to the WBO Super Welterweight title. The Australian holds an undefeated professional record of 24-0. He's set to face American southpaw Sebastian Fundora in his next fight on March 30 at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, with the WBO and WBC Super Welterweight titles on the line. Well, there you go. I mean, that's just a news story. It felt right to add that to the pod. We do have, I believe, another segment today. We do. We're going to introduce you to our wanker of the week, our wacky wanker of the week. Play the clip, empty chair. So, this week's wacky wanker of the week is a Central Florida man who stabbed chihuahuas to death, and he was charged with animal cruelty. I'm going to read you this story now. This is from March 30th, 2024. In a sick and twisted crime, a Central Florida 21-year-old man stabbed Chihuahua mixed dogs to death. On March 26th, the Polk County Sheriff's Office Animal Cruelty Investigations Unit responded to assist the Haines City Police Department related to a reported case of animal cruelty. A PCSO investigator met with several witnesses in the Hidden Lake Preserve neighborhood in Haines City who heard dogs yelping and saw 21-year-old Angel Enrique Burgos of Haines County carrying a small dog to a pond and striking the dog multiple times in the neighborhood. What a piece of shit. A witness saw Burgos throw the dog towards the water. The witness later found the dog deceased at the pond. This behavior on Burgos' part is disgusting, said Sheriff Grady Judge. He caused the pain, suffering, and death of two dogs for which he had a moral responsibility to nurture and provide care. Human depravity like this still shocks me. There is no excuse. The PCSO detective recovered surveillance footage from several residents. The footage showed Burgess carrying two dogs towards a pond. The dogs were loudly yelping in the process. Both dogs were discovered deceased at the pond. Detectives recovered multiple items that were placed into outside trash bins by Burgos. Located inside the trash bins were a pair of black with white lettering slides with a red substance, a pair of light-coloured socks with red substance, light-coloured blue shorts with a red substance, black-handed knife with a red substance, and light-coloured hair type, a light grey t-shirt with a red substance. I'll give you 3 guesses to tell me what that red substance was. No, it's not pee-pee and it's not cum. It's probably blood. 2 dogs were collected by deputies and sent to veterinarian Dr. Sent Onze for a necropsy. The doctor advised the first dog, a Chihuahua mixed type male, had approximately 14 puncture wounds consistent with a sharp object. The doctor stated Lincoln was the name of the dog, died from internal bleeding in the chest, which caused the dog to suffocate and drown on its own blood. The doctor advised this was a painful, horrible death. The doctor advised that the second dog, named Casper, a Chihuahua mixed-type male, had approximately 7 puncture wounds consistent with a sharp object. The doctor stated Casper died from internal bleeding in the chest area, which caused the dog to suffocate and drown on its own blood. Again, a horrible and painful death. Based on the detective's investigation, it was determined that the suspect knowingly, willingly, and unlawfully used a sharp object to stab repeatedly approximately 14 puncture wounds into Lincoln. This action caused a great amount of pain and suffering. It led to a cruel death by bleeding internally in the chest area, which causes the dog to suffocate and drown on its own blood. The suspect was taken into custody without incident and transported to the Sheriff's Processing Center by Haines City Police Department. He's been charged with 2 counts of felony animal cruelty, tampering with evidence, 2 counts of improper disposal of a deceased animal, 2 counts of illegal dumping. Burgos has 2 prior arrests for battery. Well, isn't that a delightful place to end our show this week? Burgos, you are a huge piece of shit, and I hope you get stabbed 14 times and choke on your own blood. How's that sound? How's that sound, dickless? All right. Thanks for listening to this episode. Whoa, what a town this Cougar Town really was, huh? That's got to be the episode's title, right? Cougar Town? Town of Cougars? Cougar Town. I've never watched Cougar Town, but I like Scrubs, so it's the same guy. What am I doing? Guys, have a fantastic week. I'll see you next week. This was episode 90. Thank you so much for 90 episodes. 10 short episodes, and we will be at our 100th episode. Can you believe it? With our 100th episode, we're going to do something special, but I'll tell you more about that in the coming weeks. Please stay safe out there. I love your faces. You're a bunch of good uns. Before you go, can you give me a good rating on wherever you listen to this? Just give me 5 stars, please. Please and thank you. All right, that'll do it. Stay safe out there, guys. It's a jungle out there. You know the drill. I need to go lie down.